these organizations just looking at this and saying this is the best return that we can get on our investment?
I think that there's no real interest from any significant state party to stop this. The ones that actually do the most are also the ones who probably enable it the most, which is China. And China has ongoing relationships with criminal figures. Like, it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it is just essentially an actual political reality that they have that. So these guys go in and they have an understanding with them. Do not target Chinese speakers, Chinese citizens. And if they do, those are the compounds that get raided. Those are the ones that shut down. They shut down for 2 weeks. No one really gets arrested at senior, and they open up again. But this time, instead of a bunch of Chinese in it, it's a bunch of South Asian guys. It's a bunch of Indians, or it's a bunch of guys from Uganda or the Congo, a bunch of people that speak English, French, so they can change the market, right? And you talk about the drug trade for a second there. This part of the world, the value of the drug trade in Southeast Asia well surpasses Latin America, and it long has. It's not discussed very much whatsoever. It doesn't really interfere with the US too much, so it's not high on their stakes. But the ongoing, like, enormous levels of criminality that you're able to develop in places like Southeast Asia, because you can have relationships, whether it's with the actual state level governments or various militants or like the rulers of little fiefdoms, you can maintain that, you can grow your power, and things don't actually need to become that violent. You can just get insanely rich off the back of these things. So in terms of scams, that model has been kind of perfected in a sense here. And now it's not going anywhere. Like their ability to shut anything down is, it doesn't happen. Maybe they could, but they simply don't, because our relationships are being benefited from having them. There's an enormous amount of money being made, and some of the money now, they say Cambodia could be up to 3 times just Cambodia's GDP that is being made from scams. So how the hell do you stop that without causing a civil war to take that much money out of the system at once? And now the rest of the world has seen that, and this model is being replicated. It is going to Latin America. It is going to Eastern, Southern, Western Africa. It is going through Europe. It is just growing at a rapid rate. And it's possible that this scam trade is now worth more than the global narcotics trade.
But also, just like going back to what you're saying about the drug trade, it's actually a really good parallel, because in a lot of countries in Southeast Asia, the countries that have the biggest prevalence of these scam centers, right? They're also the countries where the authorities are the people that run things like the drug trade. So all criminality does go through the authorities. And this isn't like this isn't like a conspiracy theory. This is something that police and military figures that we interview tell us, that, that's how it works. Yeah. So there doesn't tend to be much like violence. And like that Cambodia isn't like Sinaloa in Mexico, right? It's not like you've got different gangs killing each other on the streets much, because it's so closely organized. You have certain units in the police or the military, and they will handle the import of this drug, or like they'll handle meth, or they'll handle opium, or they'll handle like things like taking money from brothels or doing protection for scam compounds, and it's all very, very, very organized, and it all comes from the top. So it's really funny because Thailand legalized weed a couple 2 years ago, I think it was, and the biggest pushback to this was coming from people in the police and military, because suddenly they lost this amazing income stream that they'd had for all this time. And it's like, because it was that was the free market, and they're still the people pushing to make it legal again, so they can go back to taking control. And to say, in Cambodia, we'll never legalize this stuff, because then it will make it much harder to make money out of it. So criminal industries, the value of criminal industries in countries like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, to some extent Thailand, they dwarf the real economy. So yeah, this is just one more thing. This is the thing about scam compounds is it's all reward and very little risk for you. If places get raided, a couple of people who work there, who are probably forced to work there anyway, they might get arrested. Their lives might be ruined now. Maybe they'll eventually get home to their home country, and then they might be outcast in the society, because no one wants to hire them, because they know they had to do criminal activity for a while, right? And so but the risk to the scam bosses is so small, and then the risks to the compound owners, who are often like the senators, that's really small. The chances of getting into trouble for them is really, really small, and then the chances of the much higher up the chain Chinese gangsters who are running this stuff, the risk to them is minute. So you can be making billions and billions and billions a year out of this trade, which is such little risk. And if you buy somebody to work in your compound, as happens a lot, and they're not very good at it, you can sell them into forced sex work, or you can, which is a really big problem. You can harvest them for their organs, which is something we've heard about before. You can make them force them to give.
You can see this so on Telegram chats.
You can force them to give blood, which is very valuable for sale in China because they have a shortage of blood donations. So there are all kinds of ways that you can just use that person once you have them under your control. The value of the industry is so enormous, and it is so hideous, and it's just going to keep growing. And the thing is, as well, is right now, when there's just so much a global tumult, and so many countries are in financial trouble, and there's conflicts expanding, in obviously in the Middle East, and the Ukraine-Russia war, people both keep fleeing that, and you have the Congo, and you have all of these massive conflicts. And we see in Cambodia, you see the process where things kick off in the Congo, and then you see a whole bunch more Congolese and Rwandan people coming to work in the compounds. It's instant, because people the recruiters just turn to wherever is most chaotic and say, hey, do you want a job out here? So they're never going to be short, and especially now, they're never going to be short of people to either tricked coming or willingly to come because they are just so out of options.
We're like the worst species on earth. I cannot believe how we treat our fellow man and woman. It is unbelievable.
I think nothing highlights that better than the fact that when Lindsey was talking about where these things, human beings, you can buy, where these things are being sold, it is on Telegram chats that we are active members of in hundreds, maybe thousands, and they're so easy to find. They're so easy to join. There's a company here called Huawei, which has been covered a little bit more in the US recently. It's seen as probably the biggest online criminal marketplace. And it's part owned by the cousin of the Prime Minister of Cambodia. The money moving through there is insane. But you can go on their website, you can scroll down, you can find links to their Telegram chats through their website. And it's if you want to buy drugs, again, I don't care. That's a substance that people want. They want to put it in. We've lost the war on drugs. You're right. But you want to buy people,